Hello everyone, how are you all there? I am sure you are fine and hope everything goes well. Today I am going to discuss about Who is to Blame by Anton Chekov, as requested by my students of bachelor level, especially studying BBA course, and I am going to discuss Who is to Blame by Anton Chekov. Before I tell you the summary in Nepali, let me tell you the summary in English, and I will have some discussion regarding the general ideas relating to this story. Anton Chekhov's Who Was to Blame. To Demianich, the mouse had done a big mischief. It first bit off his hat and then his book. Demianich taught Latin at a high school. A challenge lay on him. He had to teach his kitten on mouse catching. Back home from the market, he came with a mouse trap to start to teach his pupil, the kitten. The kitten was lying in daydream, pulling a cup of milk and pouncing on a piece of flesh. In fact, mouse hunting was its behavior by birth. Demianich put the trap below the sofa to catch the first prey. No sooner the prey was in the trap, now he took Praskovia, the cook, for help. The kitten and the mouse were put face to face. The kitten seemed to learn no lesson. Meanwhile, the kitten and its prey ran in different directions. Demianich damned the kitten. He shook it on ear in anger, but he had to teach. The kitten grew signs of shivering at the third mouse. The fourth mouse brought it unlikely terror. Demianich now grew so furious that he told the cook to drive it away. The kitten had failed to learn its lesson. A year had passed and the kitten was now a tomcat chasing sea cat. It shivered at the sight of a mouse ate. The narrator of this story is Demianich's cousin. So, the story is summarized in one sentence. Sometimes it is asked in the examination to write one sentence summary, and general ideas of the story should be condensed in one sentence, not lengthening its content. Okay, main ideas are condensed here. The Latin teacher Demianich, seeing his book and hat bitten off by the mouse, planned to teach his pet kitten a lesson on mouse catching with the help of mouse trap. Failed for the fourth time to teach, while the kitten had grown into tomcat with desire for sex, but fear for the mouse ate. So, this is very wonderful story, and the general idea of the story here: training a teacher or student is a challenge. Its methodology frequently changes for effective and result oriented learning. Formerly, learners had to undergo strict punishment, since the saying "spare the rod and spoil the child" prevailed. Learners accordingly received physical punishment from teachers under the theory "be cruel to be kind." In Nepal, there is popular saying in Sanskrit which prescribes punishment to a child until 15 years of age. But Chekov's story, Who Was to Blame, Who is to Blame, is a very funny way, and in a very funny way it disapproves of the principles a force for teaching. He is of the opinion that one should put strain on the learner's inner qualities. It is the reason why Chekov first feels terror to recall how he was trained on Latin. He tells the cat's story to prove why such teaching, learning or training fails. He favors no force, no scolding and ridicules it. The modern educational psychology works on the principles of child education. The title "Who is to blame" stands for the responsibility one has failed to realize and tells how a learner fails and why the learner fails. And so, Chekov here in the story is a psychoanalyst, especially he gives different examples of good learning. Psychological teaching methods are good to teach one expertly. He refers his learning through his crude uncle. He relates his experience with the tomcat. His uncle used to give him a special emphasis. He parallels his life with the cat, which was not allowed to be free. As the cat was unable to trap its mice, he was also unable to get succors in his life by the provided education for his life. Swing the example of cat and Latin grammar took, he wants to prove that forced and premature learning do not help living life. It is very interesting. And here in the story, and we can find Chekov focusing on psychology, human psychology. Basically, this is the age of science and technology. Psychological teaching is the best learning media, makes one unable to or unable to live his life. Modern psychologists have proved that punishment does not facilitate learning. Punishment does not facilitate learning. Beating and excessive scolding spoils a child learning capacity. So, human psychology should be the part of teacher's education. We should reward a student even if he or she occurs, he commits mistakes. We should encourage him or her to do gain by guiding in need, and punishing the child when he or she makes errors or commits errors or makes mistakes. At that time the child may not learn. So, teaching children to learn means teaching them able to learn. Teaching is not just forceful teaching. Teaching is helping the child to learn. It is a process. Teacher is not a teacher here. Teacher is a person who helps a person to learn. So, he has to work as an instructor and a kind of person who only enables the children or learner to learn. So, by learning this lesson, we think psychological curiosity will struck into our life. This sort of experience is doubtful in animals' life, but it happens in human life. Anyway, there is a difference between animate and human beings. It is true that one should be realist, not idealist to his life. How is it possible to kitten to imagine such event? In reality, will kitten run away seeing mouse during its mating? There are the unsolved mysteries in this lesson. Now, assimilation here. After reading this story, I came to remind an experience which I am citing here. Of course, this happens in our society among animals and human beings. there are the example, the frequent exercises happen in our society. Here I am presenting some examples of such event. Mostly cats and dogs are beaten, chased and deprived of food. They will start stealing food. As this sort of similar example can be shown in human beings too. Most of the thieves, criminals, dacoits and vagabonds must have a record of punishment of stealing, dacoiting, scolding, beating, etc. from their childhood. This encourages them to turn bad because that is usual to them, that is they are used to them such activities. I have many examples, but not directly encountered with such examples in my life. So, I think here Chekov, as you know, through his teacher or Latin master Piotr Demianich, wanted to teach a kitten how to catch a mouse. He used to catch the mouse in a mouse trap, keeping the cat behind it. The kitten was afraid of it. When it was afraid, he used to catch its neck and punished or pushed him with the nose against the trap. As the mouse came under the sofa, the kitten caught it, but when it saw the second mouse, it became afraid. He hid under the sofa as he saw the third mouse. He shivered and scratched the cook's hand. The kitten became so afraid by seeing the fourth mouse. This made the Latin master angry and kicked it. The kitten grown into a strong tomcat after a year. He became simple when he saw a mouse during his mating. So, very interesting story, and this who is to blame here relates to the psychology. The teacher is to blame. If the teacher does not teach well, the students do not learn. So, if you ask me an answer of this question, who is to blame, it is the teacher. Teachers should create such environment for the learners to learn, and teachers should not forcefully put students in such environment that they have to learn at any cost. It is not that. A motivation and in such situation, teaching learning, conducive situation for teaching learning, and motivation for learners to learn, and reward instead of punishment is required for learners. And if these things are not done while teaching, and the teacher is to be blamed. That is all. And let me tell the summary of the story in Nepali. Till now I discussed the story in English, and especially 4 levels of interpretation, summary, and one sentence summary even. So, now let me narrate the Nepali summary of who is to blame. Uncle Piotr Diminichle लाई मुसाको ठुलो पिर छ। लेखकका काका पायटर डिमिनिच कलेजका समिति सदस्य झगडालु तर सिद्राको सिनको जस्ता धराप व्यक्ति थिए। हाई स्कुलमा ल्याटिन पढाउने मान्छे उनले एक दिन आफ्नो किताब मुसाले च्यातेको, मुसाले दोहोरेको पाए। अनि ती काका घरकी भान्सीसँग त अच्चाकले जोकिन्छन्, कसरी यहाँ मुसा पसे? हिजो मेरो टोपीदारे, आज ल्याटिनको ग्रामर किताब चाहिँ चिथोरे, यसरी मेरा लुगा काट्न के भेर? उनी कड्किए। मैले त के गरौँ हजुर, मैले ल्याएको होइन। प्रेसको बेले बोल्छ, केही त गर्नु पर्यो नि, बरु बिरालो खोजेर ले। बिरालो त छ नि, तर त्यसको के फाइदा? नभन्दै भान्सेले पातलो दाम्रो परेको सेतो छाउरो पर कुनामा कुङलिङ परेर निदाएकोतिर देखाए। किन काम नलाग्नु बिरालो? काका डुक्रिए। बोले सानै छ, 2 महिनाको भर्खर केही नजान्ने। त्यसो भए यसलाई तालिम दिनुपर्छ। यहाँ पसारिनुको साटो यसले के सिकेको भए हुन्थ्यो अहिले। त्यसपछि काकाले चिन्ताको सास फेरे। बिरालोले पिलिक्क आँखा उगारी फेरि चिम्ब्यो। बिरालो चिन्तनमा डुब्यो। धेरै अनुभवीको अभावमा आफ्ना सहज रगतसँगै जोगिएर आएका प्रवृत्तिबारे सोच्न लाग्यो। डार्विनले भनेथे सारा कुरा। उसका पुर्खा बाघ दिवा स्वप्न चाहिँ चिन्ताका लहरहरू बिरालाका मनमा कुदेका। उसका मनमा अरेबियन मरुभूमि आयो। त्यसमा भान्से, प्रास्कोबिया, चुलो, कुचो, दुधको प्लेट जस्ता छाया कुदे। प्लेटमा क्रमशः पन्जा पलाउन थाले। त्यो प्लेट बिस्तारै हल चलाएर नाच्न थाल्यो। त्यसै बेला बिरालोले आफ्ना रक्त पिपासु पन्जा झ्याप्प पारेर त्यतै झम्टथ्यो। अन्धकारमा त्यो संसार हराएपछि एक टुक्रो मासु देखा पर्यो। डरले चुइकिँदै त्यो प्रास्कोबियाले खसालेको मासु वरर पर गर्न थाल्यो। तर बिरालोले झम्टा दिएर त्यसलाई पक्री छाड्यो। यस नयाँ स्वप्नद्रष्टाका सामु केवल झम्टा, पन्जा र दारा देखिन लागे। अरूको आत्मा देख्न नसकिने भए पनि ती कुरा प्रष्ट देखिए। यसरी सपनामा झुल्दै जाँदा बिरालो बुरुक्क उफ्रेर बिजुलीको तालमा प्रास्कोबियाको कोटमा झुन्डिन पुग्यो। अर्कोपल्ट उसको स्कर्टमा झुन्डिन पुग्यो। त्यो मुसो पक्रिने जात उसका पुर्खा रक्त पिपासु। बिरालो वास्तवमा भण्डारको ढिकुटिको र राखनधरन कोठाको महात्रास हो। काकाले मुसा मार्ने साँचो किनेपछि बडा चमत्कार भयो। स्कुलबाट घर फिर्दा काका पेत्रो देम्यानिच 15 कोपेक दाम पर्ने एउटा मुसा मार्ने साँचो किनी ल्याए। कोपेक भनेको रुसमा पैसाको, हाम्रो पैसा जस्तै हो। रुपियाँलाई रुबल भन्छ, हाम्रो रुपियाँ सरहलाई रुबल भन्छ भने त्यो चाहिँ पैसाहरूलाई चाहिँ त्यहाँ कोपेक भन्छ। अनि खाना खाने बेलामा अलिकति मासुयुक्त खानेकुराको पित्को अड्काएर पुराना किताब कापीको डङ्गुरमा सोफा मन्तिर साँचो थापे। साँझ 6 बजे टेबलमा बसेर विद्यार्थीको ल्याटिनका पाठहरू चेक गर्दै थिए ती योग्य शिक्षक काका। नमन्दै काकाले साँचोको ढोका खोले। आत्तिँदै मुसो निस्कियो। हावा सुँग्यो र काँड झैँ बत्तिएर सोफा मुनि घुस्यो। हावामा पुच्छर फुलाउँदै फुत्किएको बिरालो पनि टेबल मुनि पस्यो। भाग्यो भाग्यो, कता पस्यो? पर्खी त गएलाई गोटीलाई टेबल मुनि। काका आत्तिएर चिच्याए। उनले पुच्छारमा समातेर बिरालोलाई हावा हल्लाए। कानमा थप्पड मार्दै चिच्याए, बजिया छौडा, अर्कोपल्ट पनि यसरी भागिएर त पुड्के दोखलाई पक। भोलिपल्ट अर्को मुसाकाण्ड मच्यो। भोलिपल्ट काका फेरि चिच्याए, प्रास्कोबिया प्रास्कोबिया, मुसो पर्यो, बिरालो लिएर आइज। हिजो मारमुङ्गरीदेखि डराएर बिरालो चुलोभित्र लुकी पस्यो। पाखै निस्केन। प्रास्कोबियाले घिच्रामा झुन्ड्याएर ल्याई साँचोको छेउमा राखी, तर डरले थुरथुर काम्यो। माया लाग्दो गरी म्याउ म्याउ गर्यो। काका बोले, हुन्दे, त्यो एकछिन बानी परोस्, उसले हेरोस्, मुसो सुँगोस् अनि सिकोस्। त्यसपछि बिरालो पछि सरेको देखेर जागे, मरेछ हैजा साँडे। त्यसका कान विद्यार्थीको कपी जाँदै गर्दा खन्द्र्याङ्ग गरेको सुन्दा काकाले तर्सेर कलमै खसाले। गएर हेरे त ससानो अम्मल तुनु जत्रो मुसो तारमा सुँग्दै काम्दै थियो चेपिएर। अनि काका उर्ले मनौ त्यसलाई कम नम्बर दिन आँटे चाहिँ। तँ त फेला परिस्, पर्खी, तँलाई मेरो ग्रामर बुक खान सिकाउँला। अनि खराए, प्रास्कोबिया, मुसो पर्यो साँचोमा, बिरालो लिएर आइज। आएँ भन्दै बाघको सन्तान पाखुरामा राखेर ल्याए उसले। त्यहीँ राख, साँचोको छेउमा, त्यसलाई सुँगोस्, हेरोस् अनि देख्लास्। बिरालाले काकाका आँखातिर हेऱ्यो, कुर्सीतिर हेऱ्यो, साँचोलाई सुँग्यो र त्यत्रो झलझलाकार उज्यालो देखेर सायद बुरुक्क उफ्रिएर ढोकातिर बड्कियो। पर्खी, पड्के छौडा मुसादेखि डराउने त त्यो त मुसो पो त राम्ररी हेर सुँघ भन्दै काकाले बिरालोको पुच्छर समातेर ताने। मान्छेले त्यसको घिच्रोमा समातेर फेरि साँचोमा लगे। त्यसै बेला काका बोले, प्रास्कव्य म साँचो खोल्छु। मुसो निस्कनासाथ बिरालो फुत्तै त्यसको मुखैमा लगेर छोड्दै, बुझिस्, बटार्दै जरी चुडिने गरी त्यसलाई पछार्नु नपरोस्, लगेर साँचोकै मुखमा राख, मान्छेलाई हराए। काकाले साँचोको ढोका बिस्तारै उघारे। मुसो बिस्तारै बिरालोको नाकैबाट उता लाग्यो। मान्छेको हातलाई छुँदै दरातिर पस्यो। बिरालो त्यसबाट छुटकारा पाएपछि सोफा मन्दिर छिरेर बस्यो। अर्को पनि मुसो अम्कायो। त्यस्तो दुःखलाई त बिरालो भन्छेस्? पछार छाँडेलाई, लगेर छौँडालाई साँचैमा पछार। काका यमदग्नि भयो। अनि तेस्रो मुसो पक्रेपछि चौथाको पालीमा के भयो भन्दा तेस्रो मुसो देखेपछि बिरालो साँचो र मुसो देख्दै थरथरी काम्न थाल्यो र भान्साको हातै कोपर्यो। भान्सेको हातै कोपर्यो। चौथो मुसो पनि नपक्रेपछि काका रिसले आगो भए र एक लात्ती बसाले बिरालोलाई अनि भने, फ्याँकिहाल यो गोटीलाई, यो छेद म घरमा देख्न चाहन्न, लगेर हुत्याइदिए अनि पर झाडीमा। अनि त्यसको 1 वर्षपछि त्यो पातलो धराप बिरालो डरलाग्दो ढाडे बनेछ। एक दिन घर पछिल्लोतिरबाट कुनै छाउरीसँग प्रेम गर्दै दौडँदै थियो। त्यहाँ पुगेको मात्र त्यो उसले खस्याक्क गरेको सुन्यो। फर्केर हेर्दा एउटा मुसो खोलेदिने भाँडबाट घोडाको तबेलातिर दौडँदै देख्यो। त्यो ढाडेका भुत्ला ठडिए। उसले ढाड कुप्र्यायो र थरर कामेर बुरुक्क उफ्रियो र भाग्यो। लेखकको आफ्नै गति हेर्दाखेरि कहिलेकाहीँ म आफै पनि बिरालाको जस्तो हाँसो उठ्दो परिस्थितिमा हुन्छु। बिरालालाई जस्तै मलाई पनि आफ्नो बाल्यकालमा काका ल्याटिन पढाउँथे। अब पुरानो शास्त्रीय कुरो कतै देखेँ भने मलाई उत्साह हुनुको साटो म सम्झिन्छु। अनि ल्याटिनको इरेगुलर भर्ब रटेको, अनि मेरा काकाको निबुवा निचरे जस्तो पहेँल्चे अनुहार र पञ्चमी विभक्ति, अनि म पहेँलिन्छु, टाउकाका रौँ ठडिन्छन् र त्यो ढाडे जस्तै म पनि लाजमर्दो गरी चम्पट ठोक्छु, चेखभ भन्छ। यसरी चाहिँ अब यो कसरी को दोषी त? पढाउने शिक्षकै दोषी। जो सिकारुमा जुन एक खालको चाहिँ उत्प्रेरणा आउँदैन, सिकारुमा सिकेको चाहिँ भावना स्थिर हुँदैन। सिकाइ भनेको त व्यवहारमा परिवर्तन हुने हो नि। व्यवहारमा परिवर्तन हुन नसकेपछि त्यसको अर्थ रहँदैन। त्यसकारण यहाँ कथामा त्यो सिकाउने शिक्षक नै त्यो दोषको भागीदार हो। त्यो सिक्ने विद्यार्थी, यहाँ बिरालो या कुनै चाहिँ चेखबै भनौँ न, बिरालो या चेखब जो भने पनि सिक्ने विद्यार्थी भन्दा सिकाउने शिक्षक नै दोषी हो। उसले घरेलु वातावरणमा, मायालु वातावरणमा प्रेरणादायी रूपमा सिकाउनुपर्छ। धेरै दण्ड दिनु हुँदैन। पुरस्कृत गर्दै उसलाई सिकाउनुपर्छ। उसलाई कुटेर तर्साएर सिकाउँदाखेरि ऊ सिक्नभन्दा नसिक्न बढी खोज्छ र त्यसबाट उसको व्यवहारमा परिवर्तन हुँदैन। सो this is the story relating to who was to blame, and I think you have got points from my discussion here, and if you have any queries you can put your comments in my comment box, and have a nice day. Thank you very much.